Another video, another me. Welcome back guys, how's it going? I hope you are having a good day. Today here the weather is amazing, it's like spring. It's one of those perfect spring weather, you know what I'm saying? Just before allergies start. Today I'm gonna talk about my favorite violin pieces. When I was a child, I was always interested in knowing what great musicians like. Which pieces are their favorite pieces? Actually one time I asked this question to Ivry Gitlis, which is a legend. He really liked my question and he looked at me and said, whatever I'm playing, that's my favorite piece. That was a brilliant mindset. We really have to play whatever we like. I'm super against to make someone play what they hate, except exercises, because I believe that exercises are necessary. Anyways, here are some pieces, those are my favorite. First one is Scottish Fantasy by Max Bruch. Probably many violinists here listened to Jascha Heifetz's recording of this piece. And of course, because of his interpretation, many of us love this piece. I remember my violin teacher showed me Heifetz's recording first time. It was a really interesting moment for me when I discovered his playing. Because in the video, he's quite old, but still playing incredible good. Amazing. Of course, if you look technical things, there are some problems. He's almost 70 years old there, or maybe 70, I don't know. I don't think so many people can play when they are that old, but this is Heifetz, he plays really good. So yeah, Scottish Fantasy is my favorite. I never played it in my life because this is one of those pieces I don't want to spoil too early. I want to discover it later, I want to play it later, and definitely I would like to play it with orchestra one day. And what's the best interpretation? Of course, Jascha Heifetz. The next one is Rondo Capriccioso by Saint-Saëns. My friends who are watching this video right now, they will know, because I played this piece so many times, actually too many times, and still it's one of my favorite virtuoso pieces. The music is so welcoming, it's very warm. It shows technical abilities of the player. The main melody is so easy to remember. For the listeners, that's very important. And like I said, it's one of those pieces where you can play everywhere. You can play in your recital, you can play it with orchestra, with piano, chamber orchestra you can even play. Actually, I played this piece with a chamber orchestra before. It was a lovely experience. This piece is probably overplayed. If you just go to Spotify and write this piece, you will see thousands of recordings. Okay, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of recordings. But on the other hand, it's a good sign that this piece really attracts people. I first learned it when I was 14, and until this day I played so many times, and I never got tired of it. Actually, this one is interesting because, again, I love Heifetz's recording and Ivry Gitlis. These two have completely different playing styles. You can check both of these violinists' video on YouTube. Heifetz's playing is just perfect. Also, Ivry Gitlis has a recording, but he's a little bit old there, and I'm not sure if he's in the mood or not, but of course it's a brilliant playing. You should definitely check their recording. And my third favorite violin piece is Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto. This concerto is huge, and probably every violinist played it one time in their life. I was lucky enough to play it with orchestra, and it was of course an unforgettable experience. Yes, I know, again, overplayed piece. When Tchaikovsky composed this piece, it is said that it's impossible to play. But today everyone is playing it great. I must say that Tchaikovsky is one of my favorite composers. I love his orchestration, his melodies. It's one of the top romantic composers. You can feel so much passion, so much drama in his music. And I think this concerto represents his music so good. As a player, the first movement feels like swimming in the ocean. You just have to pass the ocean because it's so long. And second movement is like remembrance. It's like remembering an old memory, or it makes you feel like you're an old guy who is telling some stories to child, you know? And the third movement, I actually really love third movement because it's super fast, very virtuosic, all these fast notes and sometimes really uncomfortable passages. Actually not so uncomfortable, but tricky to play. So yeah, probably Tchaikovsky is my favorite violin concerto. And the next one is Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. Everyone probably was expecting something new or interesting, but I'm a very boring person, I'm sorry. I love the most famous pieces. I was again so lucky to play this with orchestra. Mendelssohn Violin Concerto is the first big concerto when we learn violin. These days, usually, if you're a professional violinist, you probably already played this piece. I mean, it's Mendelssohn, you know? He's great. The main theme of the concerto is probably one of the most famous violin melody ever composed. And I'm sure Mendelssohn Violin Concerto is the most famous violin concerto in the entire world. If you're a classical music lover, for sure you listen it at least 5 times in concerts. And the next piece is Prokofiev Violin Concerto number 2. He composed 2 violin concerto and my favorite is number 2. I think it's very personal. Some violinists' favorite is number 1 and some people like number 2. I'm one of those guys who like number 2 more. And of course I played this concerto too. Actually when I was younger I didn't like this concerto at all. But then I listened Yenin Jensen's interpretation. Then this concerto became one of my favorite concerto. There's actually no cadenza in this concerto. Usually in violin concertos there is a big cadenza in the first movement, but he didn't compose anything. And the second movement is actually one of my favorite second movements. And the third movement is also so good, but the coda is one of the most difficult codas ever composed. The coda of this concerto is so difficult because it is so easy to make a mistake. I think end of this concerto you have to be like a machine. You should know every note so well. If you give like 5-6 hours just for the coda, probably it will be good. I don't know why, but this piece actually fits to my fingers so well. I remember I was warming up with this piece. I know this sounds weird, but somehow I felt so comfortable playing this piece, especially third and second movement. All these chords, all these arpeggios and weird scales, it felt really good for my hands. And second movement is very good to practice your vibrato and your bow. Because those long notes, you need the power, you need the sound. It's very good exercise. Okay, we talk so much about concertos. Let's talk about some sonatas. One of my favorite sonata is again Prokofiev, Violin Sonata number 1. I never played this piece. It's same reason like Scottish Fantasy, because I don't want to spoil this piece too early. I think if I'm not wrong, he composed this piece for David Oshtra, a great Russian violinist. This piece is very dark, very sad, and sometimes very angry. First movement is so dark. And second movement is actually one of my favorite movements. And the third movement is like a fairy tale. You know, Prokofiev's music is usually fairy tales. And this third movement is so beautiful. It's like from a fairy tale. Now we are talking about great composers. I should also mention some violin composers. And of course, for me, the top violin composer is Niccolò Paganini. Playing Paganini is like love and hate relationship for violinists. Personally, I really hate practicing Paganini. Also, I love the feeling when I could play something. But it's very difficult to play. I have a big respect for every violinist who practices Paganini. Of course, as a professional violinist, we have to play at least 12 caprices, I believe. But there are some crazy dudes who play these 24 caprices in one concert, amazing quality. Like, how is it possible? I don't think I would ever try playing 24 in one concert, but we never know. Maybe in future, probably not. Like I said, Paganini Caprices, it's like a new era, you know, for violinists. When he composed, and it's Opus 1. Paganini himself was a genius and also a devil's violinist. And these devil stories, I think I 100% believe that he was a devil's violinist because the music feels like devil, I don't know why. He was just a crazy guy and amazing violinist. And from Bach, my favorite piece is his solo sonata in C major. This piece is every violinist's nightmare, of course. It's understandable because the fugue is so big. It's like 7 pages fugue, more than 10 minutes. Nobody wanna play a fugue more than 10 minutes, especially for violinists. We have 4 strings full of chords. Memorization is very difficult. Of course, we don't wanna play, but somehow I love the music so much. First movement is amazing. Second movement is incredible. Third movement, the adagio, is one of the most beautiful adagios ever written for violin. Hopefully one day I'm going to learn it and play it. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I think it's very important that we should always practice and play what we love, especially for self-motivation. Because if we always play the pieces we don't like and we don't really find interesting, it feels kind of meaningless to make music. Sometimes even for myself, if I feel not motivated or down, I just play some pieces that I love and it really motivates me a lot. Then I want to practice much more. Let me know in comments your favorite violin pieces. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.